Welcome to This Week in the SFL, Season 20, Week 9 edition, along with Paul Sarp. I'm Cameron Irvine. Welcome back to the SFL YouTube channel. You've probably been living here all weekend like we have. What's going on, Paul?
Hey, Cam. I'm ready to get to some highlights. Again, we've seen some things happen this week. Away teams getting it done on the road. A little bit of an upset here from a dominating home team. So excited to be here with you tonight and see a bunch of highlights and talk about some SFL.
And a big 100, too. Let's get to the headlines of Week 9. Kings of the upset. Minnesota does it again, knocking off the league's last unbeaten, the Atlanta Swarm. There's none left. Another season gone, another season with no undefeated teams in the SFL. Paul, Mexico City's making it look easy these days. They commit no turnovers, although their backup did throw one pick. We don't even count that. Throws only 4 incompletions in a big win does Jordan Sipe, nearly set the SFL completion record to start a game held by Cyrus Jive. And a collision course at the top of the standings, Paul. Arizona, Baltimore, and Vegas are all in the top 4, and they all play each other still later this season. That is going to be some wild shuffling there down the stretch.
Absolutely. I can't wait to see all of those games, as those are 3 of the best teams in the league this season, and for them to all play each other, it's really going to help shape the playoffs come the postseason. And whoever's going to be the number 1 seed, it's not guaranteed. Any 3 of these teams could end up number 1 by the end of the season.
And just behind those top 4 teams, that also includes Atlanta, is number 5, Minnesota, with a 6-2 record. They are neck and neck with Mexico City, also 6-2 at the top. More standings later, but for now, we get a chance to hear from Minnesota's co-owner, BJ Loveless. He sat down with Ashley Jackson on this week's first segment of PGI.
Welcome back to PGI, where I am joined with a good friend of mine, Mr. Brian Loveless. He is owner of Minnesota Legend, as well as the middle linebacker. Hall of Famer? Yeah?
Not yet.
Okay.
I'm waiting on that. I'm waiting on that call, but not yet.
I'm sure it's coming. One of the best in the league, definitely. But
Thank
how you been doing?
I appreciate it. I'm doing great. It's been a while since you see me. Since you see me on your show, I had a lot shorter hair then.
Yeah, I love it. I love it, man. But man, you guys pulled out a legendary win over, at one point, the undefeated Atlanta Swarm. 48-20 at that. So what was the keys to you guys winning that game?
Snow.
Snow?
It's our first snow game in franchise history, bringing Atlanta up. This would have been our 8th straight home win. So don't come to Northwoods undefeated.
Oh my gosh! So y'all just the legendary killers when it comes to that. Yeah.
But no, the coaching staff put in numerous hours trying to figure out what Swole and Mark were doing over there in Atlanta, and we pulled it out. Everything went right for us especially on defense. Our defense clicked on all cylinders. The front 4, Angela, Mark Mello, Max Knight, Buster Johnson, and the secondary, for all 6 of them. Tigger Clay, Rick Evans, they both had interceptions as our diamond nickelbacks. I think Cody and Johnny had a pick 6. So we hit on all cylinders on defense. So that was a major key to that, and not letting Dynasty and BDG go off.
That you did. A legendary win from a legendary crew. I wish you guys the best of luck for the rest of the season. I can't wait to see what you do next week.
For sure.
All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Cam, Polly, back to you.
Thanks, Ashley. 48-20. Minnesota crushes Atlanta. A recipe for disaster for the Swarm. Paul, they were 7-0. They got a quarterback from Hawaii. They got a team that plays in the Dome. They
have a Falcon.
Yeah, they got a bunch of Atlanta's got a bunch of players that just aren't used to playing in the snow. They're not built in the snow, and they got rolled in the snow big time. Minnesota came to play.
Yeah, as far as Minnesota, just an incredibly perfect performance against an undefeated team. To go in there into your home stadium, a stadium where you've only lost one game in the entire 2 seasons of Minnesota's franchise history, it just shows that that is a tough place to play, and Atlanta learned that this weekend.
Last season, Minnesota was the last team to knock off, actually the only team to knock off the Baltimore Vultures. Maybe that's good news for Atlanta, because if you lose to Minnesota and it's your only loss of the season, maybe you go win the title and they repeat that process. For Minnesota, Paul, they beat Baltimore last season, but then didn't get a playoff win. Lost to DC in that first round, so they still have more steps to take. Do you think this season will be any different? This is going to be a pretty crowded playoff bracket when it's all said and done.
Yeah, by the end of this season, the playoff bracket is going to be wild. But as far as Minnesota goes, I definitely think this season that it could be a little bit different for them. As far as how far they could go in the playoffs, they're a team that I think could win it all. But they have to, like you said, take those steps to be able to get there and just take it week by week. As far as where they're at right now, they have a bye week coming up, and then they're facing a red-hot Tulsa Desperados team. So as far as their focus, it's going to be all in on Tulsa. And as far as this week, Atlanta came into their stadium and they just held their ground, and they were able to intercept Bryant Dynasty 4 times. Colin Hart was playing great. Just the whole team banding together and getting it done this weekend, Cam.
That's your national TV game in 2 weeks, Minnesota and Tulsa on Next Level Sports on Saturday. All right, back to the highlights where the Houston Headhunters have found some offense. Dave Burr starts with a bomb to DR Sim. He is still in pursuit of 20,000. Maybe next week. He had a pretty nice game. So did Deuce Fennick, 14-13 in the third. Alamo City can ball too. 45-15 in total plays. They outmatched Houston in the first half, but it didn't matter because GP Wells was doing things like that.
And we see this week in and week out from GP Wells. A little slow start for Wells in Houston, but finally turning it on at the right time.
Wells next play. 1, 2, breaks a tackle. 3, ref falls over. 4, GP gone. 35-23. Houston all over Alamo City. Houston scored in this game 42 points in 35 offensive plays, which has to be some kind of record. I mean, GP was just absurd, over 200 yards.
Yeah, GP Wells, as we see the spin cycle, 4 defenders, 4 spins, and then it's just off to the races for GP, and just one of the best running backs that we've seen in recent seasons of SFL, and just getting the job done for the Headhunters.
35-23, Mike St. Green getting involved. The Mike St. Green touchdown never hurt anybody. 42-23, now 42-26 after Alamo City tacks on a field goal, and they go for the onside kick with 3:09 to go. Houston started celebrating up 19. Maybe they started a little bit too soon. Alamo City going to recover this onside kick at the 48-yard line, and then Ace Fennick would find Greg Soto, top of the end zone for the touchdown. 2 minutes to go, 42-32. Alamo City would go for 2. Fennick drops to pass, and diving, sliding for the 2-point conversion is Garrison Blue, 42-34. So you figure, all right, well, maybe they can do it. Nope. Houston going to end up holding on to win. They win it 45-34. Let's go to Arizona, where the Scorpions rout the Mavericks 30-7 on Saturday night, and it was all Arizona all the time. San Diego really struggled. It's the 6th different team that they have scored 7 points or less to on the road in franchise history, and it's Arizona's biggest win since they beat San Diego last season, Paul.
Yeah, Ashley Jackson played phenomenally, and I was a little upset because this game was one of the games that I personally had circled as far as who's going to be the leader of this division, and Arizona just absolutely handling San Diego. Their defense played great. Offense was incredible. It's hard to beat an Arizona Scorpions team when they're only allowing 7 points.
Eddie Gage in that game got interception number 100. More on him later. But before we get there, let's go to South Dakota, where someone chasing Eddie Gage had a monster game. Early, it was Julian Tyree finding A.J. Warren. Tyree was money, 16 of his first 16, and Sioux Falls had a 14-0 lead.
We've seen a lot of Julian Tyree's touchdowns this season and in his career, trying to catch Matt Wilson in touchdowns. Did it the other week as far as passing yards goes.
Just before the first half, Bullet Boletsky gets into the end zone, makes it 17-7. But in the third quarter, it was Evan Carroll time. Carroll's second interception of the game. And there would be more where that came from. Florida gets a field goal, then Sioux Falls throws a pick again. This is deja vu to our Monday night game against Atlanta. Sioux Falls throwing the game away in the third quarter. Fourth quarter now, off the Carroll pick. Look at Boletsky slide to the right. Slide to the right. Tie game at 17 in the fourth quarter. Florida is coming back. Sioux Falls, Tyree. Don't throw it to him again. Evan Carroll, pick number 4. Florida in business. Next possession, Cochran over the middle to Zarkov, tied at 20. 2 minutes to go. They'd have to settle for a field goal, and you know what that means, Paul? Deja vu for Florida now. After Sioux Falls was feeling the deja vu in the third quarter, Florida leaves Sioux Falls time on the clock, just like Vancouver the previous week. 23-20. What would Sioux Falls do with it? Julian Tyree to Noe Terrasas. Oh! In triple coverage. Just nasty.
If that's not a bid for catch of the season, I don't know what is. If your team is down 3 with less than a minute to go and you make a catch in triple coverage like that, that's got to earn yourself a catch of the year nominee.
Then offside for Florida, just outside of field goal range. You're thinking, oh my gosh, what else could go wrong for the Storm? Next play, they jump offside again and give Sioux Falls more space to work with and stops the clock one more time. Sioux Falls driving down 3. Now 28 seconds left. First and goal at the 9. And Tyree hits Michael Knight, who gets his first career touchdown, in Sioux Falls goes up 4. Last chance for Florida. Another desperation heave. And watch. Well, we're going to see Knight's. Going to see another replay of Knight's touchdown here first. Everybody running slants inside. There was nobody at the goal line for Florida. Watch this blitz off the left side. Nobody blocks Terrell Davis, and he comes in untouched. And Sioux Falls gets an incredible win, 27-23. Florida has now lost 3 of their 6 games in the last 30 seconds of play. And Ron Haynes is on our stat crew tonight, and he is sick watching that all over again. But Ron, good news. That's the end of having to watch all that. Let's go to some record holders. Back to Eddie Gage's 100th interception. You see Carroll with his 4 picks in that game against Sioux Falls. He jumps to 3rd all-time in picks. Gage has some company, surprisingly, Paul. Max Jackson is at 87. Carroll now 86. Bolt, Giovanni Bolt from Baltimore, 84. Jeffrey Daggs at 82. But what an achievement from Eddie and Evan, who are continuing to play their best football years into their career.
Absolutely. I was a little upset we weren't able to call Eddie Gage's 100th interception last Monday, yeah. But to be able to get to 100 interceptions is just truly phenomenal. As we're seeing down there on this graphic, 0 touchdowns. The next closest in the SFL history in interceptions without a pick 6 is Mark Lopez, and he has 56. So there's a big gap there, and just huge shout out to Eddie for all the time he's put in on the field and off the field. To finally hit number 100 is just an incredible feat.
That was our gift to Eddie Gage today, right, Paul? We're always talking about how he has no pick 6s, but he got 100 interceptions for his career. So we figured, you know what, let's put somebody else on blast. Mark Lopez, you don't have any pick 6s either, and a bunch of interceptions. So, you know, you got to get with the program, Mark. Stop making bingo sheets and start scoring touchdowns. Before we move on, Ashley Jackson met with some great offensive linemen from Arizona. EJ DeQ and Sean Crooked to talk their big win in Arizona, moving to the top of the SFL standings.
Back to PGI, where I am joined with, I would say, if not the best O-lineman in the SFL, definitely top two. From Arizona Scorpions, I have here with me Mr. Sean Cricket and Mr. EJ DeQ. How are you both doing today?
Good.
Doing well, doing well.
Yeah, I bet you are after that big win over San Diego. So,
Oh yeah.
so tell me, gentlemen, how important was this win for Arizona, in your opinions?
It was big. I know that Eddie was definitely focused on this one. There's a little bit of blood behind the scenes where things are a little itchy, and that, or I'm sure that factored in. I also know that we are now sitting on top of the standings. So, looking for that first round bye.
Yes, we are. Definitely look for that. Especially still that championship leaves a bad taste in my mouth. So, we're ready just to make this happen for us,
Okay. So that unfinished business mantra actually does mean that we have unfinished business to take care of.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
So, what are your thoughts on your abilities this season? I mean, I am the least sacked quarterback in the league right now. If it wasn't for you guys, I would be throwing a whole lot more interceptions. I would be on my butt a lot. So, how important is that for you?
I think from being drafted as a lineman, I think it's important because you see the improved development from year to year, season to season. So, especially we protect you, and plus, Mr. Moses can run all over the place too. So that's what I enjoyed. We had a great running game just yesterday. So
Mhm.
that we're balanced. The balance is there.
All right. And EJ?
Well, you know how important it is to me. I was D-line until that first game when I came over here and saw you running for your damn life. In which case I said, Eddie, switch my number, give me a different jersey. I will sneak in and I will keep her safe. Because this ain't right.
Yeah, I was. It was a heck of a time to start, but thank you, gentlemen, for the sacrifices that you have made. One more question while I have you here quickly, because I don't have many old linemen that I talk to, unfortunately. But what are your thoughts on your stats not being tracked? Does it bother you? Does it bother you a little bit, or is that even important to you?
Not important to me. The stat I look at is how many times you're sacked. Period.
Yeah, it's not important. I mean, we can say, okay, sacks not allowed or sacks given up, but that's nothing. As long as you see it on a day-to-day how the whole team is running with it, how the O-line and the offense is clicking. That's all that matters to us.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for all that you do, the sacrifices you make again. Really appreciate it, gentlemen. And I'm looking forward to talking to you a little bit more later on in the season. All right.
Yes,
All right.
indeed.
All right. Y'all have a good one.
You too.
Cam,
All right.
Paulie, back to you.
I love that EJ was like, get me over there to get you some protection. That's great. Arizona's 7-1. They are at the top of the league, and they definitely have not had a hangover from the loss to Baltimore in the championship game. Paul, they're playing some great football right now.
Absolutely. Just in the past 2 seasons alone, you fought through the playoffs, made it to the championship game where you did lose to Baltimore just barely. And now in season 20, you're at the top of the standings. It's truly awesome to see a franchise like Arizona go through the struggles that they have in their franchise history. Previously, before they were Arizona, they were the Oklahoma City Renegades, and they carried a record of 51-85 with 11 losing seasons in a row. Since moving to Arizona, they are now 42-38, and as I mentioned, made it to the championship game, and now you're at the top of the standings. You just got Eddie Gage with 100 interceptions. It's just truly incredible to see a franchise like this work their way from literally the bottom of the SFL all the way to the absolute top here in season 20.
Ownership matters. Skippy with a $19.99 super chat in the chat. My gift to Cameron: Poppy needs a new TV. Thank you, Skip. We are 3% to that goal now, I guess, Paul. And, yeah, if you're watching on Next Level Sports and you want to contribute to our YouTube chat during games and broadcasts, you can visit us at youtube.com/SimulationFL. She also wants me to say something nice about Mark. Mark Lopez, our director of statistics. He's an Excel wizard and makes bingo sheets and does all sorts of things for us during broadcasts to keep us entertained. But you gotta get those touchdowns. I'm just saying, you got to get those touchdowns. All right, back to the highlights now that we've covered enough of Arizona bludgeoning San Diego this week. Let's go to some elite passing games surging, Paul, and we start in Carolina, where the Skyhawks had a 14-7 lead in this one, but that lead would be short-lived. Third quarter, John Blades with his second touchdown of the day, 21-14 in the third, now 21-21 in the fourth, and Eric Price is going long to Doug Britton, wide open. Take the top off. Carolina trying to keep up with this Vegas offense, tipped up in the air and intercepted. Shad Allen with that pick, and then 31-21. Look at just another bomb over the top. You can't sleep on this Fury team, 38-21.
And it did this week up until the fourth quarter. Again, you're coming up tied into the fourth quarter, 21-21. This touchdown here makes it 37-21. Got to stay strong whole way through the fourth.
Carolina tried to get back in it. Vince DeSantis with the touchdown made it 38-28. They actually got the ball back with a couple minutes left. Still a two-possession game. Never say never. As you see the Skyhawks flying there, and yeah, wasn't to be on this day. Max Jackson, hey, he's back on that list, right? He's top 5 on that list. He gets one more to his name, and Jackson makes it happen. All right, now to Indianapolis, where it wasn't so much about this offense early. It was Kanye Rockefeller, the first user player to ever return a blocked field goal for a score. Just enough legs. Touchdown, 10-3. Indy on top. Late in the first half, 13-10. Vancouver has the lead. And Rockefeller will get one more chance before the break to make something happen on the kickoff return. 1 yard deep in the end zone. Whoop! Whoop! Oh! See you later! And one block on the kicker to boot to win. No, I don't think so. Kanye, touchdown again. 17-13. Indy takes the lead at the half, the number 1 passing offense in the league. Didn't need it early on, but they'd get it late. Colin Pierce down the field. What a ball. Randy Pierce, the tight end, and the Indianapolis Piercers get into the red zone. That's where they've struggled. Christian Pierce can't get in, so Vancouver forces a field goal. 20-13, still a ball game. Top Kiefer with the 3. He's on our stat team too. Puts that away. Makes it a 7-point ball game. Vancouver hanging around. You figure, the Legion are going to get things going. Indianapolis never been in this spot before as a team. And that pass picked up by Bryant James, the former number 1 pick. Indy's right back in business. What would they do with it? You know who we haven't said in this whole highlight? Ryan Roosevelt, the league's number 1 receiver this season, scores a touchdown, makes it 27-13. Indy now starting to run away with it, 27-16. Here's another. Roosevelt scores 34-16. Indy tops Vancouver, and it was actually 34-23 at the end of it. Crazy stat here, Paul. Look at the top 3 passing offenses from last season. San Diego was a totally different look now. Lone Star, who isn't even Lone Star anymore, and Atlanta, who didn't even make the playoffs, and you could see Patterson and the Mavericks pulling away there. But how about in season 20? A totally different ball game. Indy is your number 1 pass offense, now with a 5-3 record and squarely in the playoff picture. London has gone a little bit more away from Robert Merrill. We'll see them later in Impact Monday with Fort Worth. And then Las Vegas, who, remember, Paul, got off to that horrible start with former Denver Nightwing quarterback Eric Price. He was throwing turnovers all over the place. It was a mess. They have really cleaned things up, and we have a whole new guard of passing attacks in the SFL Season 20.
Yeah, 3 teams that you necessarily wouldn't consider high-flying offenses from seasons past. As far as Indianapolis, to have a receiver like Ryan Roosevelt and have the success that they've had this season is incredible to watch. London, as you mentioned, moving a little bit more away from Robert Merrill, but absolutely lighting it up through the air. And Las Vegas, Sin City, just a gambling offense, not afraid to take deep shots and making their way into the top 3 of the top pass offenses in Season 20.
Let's go back to Rockefeller real quick because I don't want to let that go. I mean, this dude is out of his mind this season. He has 1 All-Star game appearance way back in Season 10. Not only should he make this season's All-Star game, but he probably should be going in the Hall pretty soon if he's going to keep having performances like that.
Yeah, that's just an absolutely electric performance this weekend. I was on the other side of a Kanye Rockefeller kick return touchdown earlier in the season, so I know how dynamic he can be, but a blocked field goal return for a touchdown, and then with 1 second left in the half to return a kickoff to help your team win on the road is just incredible.
Speaking of winning on the road, Mexico City just crushed Motor City. The score doesn't show it because the Aztecs had extremely long drives and were very efficient offensively, but man, they just had their way with the V8s. 31-14, Jordan Sipe 27-31. Look at their leading rusher at 82 yards. The leading receiver had 82 yards. Defense forced 9 sacks. They got 3 interceptions. I mean, they were just all over him. Kudos to Guy Clausen for getting in the end zone twice, but the struggles for the V8s continue.
And shout out to Vasquez as well. Strong safety, 16 total tackles, just strong performance in a tough game against a extremely tough team in Mexico City. And Jordan Sipe finally starting to get the respect that he deserves in an incredible performance, only throwing 4 incompletions. Just a phenomenal day from Jordan Sipe and the Mexico City Aztecs.
Ashley Jackson caught up with 2 owners of these respective franchises. Let's start off with the sad locker room. That is Duane Schindler over in Motor City.
Welcome back to PGI, where I am joined with Mr. Duane Schindler. He is the owner, or one of the owners of the Motor City V8s. Just came off loss to Mexico City Aztecs. Brother, how you doing?
I'm doing well.
Oh, it's good. It's good to hear, man. Good to hear. Now, with your team right now is 2-6 currently. 2 things I kind of want to cover with this quickly. What is the team morale like at this point? Are you guys still trying to are you guys getting each other, or keeping each other uplifted and upbeat about things, or is it kind of like a jury tone right now?
Well, the morale in our locker room, it's very positive, and I think it's just we have a lot of positive people, and we have some people that are very talkative in there that have been with us for a while, like Bill Cherry is coming back to us. David Leathers talks a lot. Sable Cannon, he's very much excited with the stuff we're doing. Guy Clausen, he's our morale leader. He's always saying good morning, asking everybody how they're doing, asking questions, and Sable's trying to learn about the game as well. So he does a lot of talk that way. But I mean, just reading the comments in the locker room after this loss, everybody understands we're trying some new things here. There was a 3-year plan when we're putting this together to see how it would work. I don't know, how moving to a new game is going to affect that, but we're still in phase 2, and we're obviously going to change some things around if things aren't working the way they're supposed to. And people are making comments like we're a young team, we're still learning, we're still progressing, we're still working our way up the system. So our locker room really is fine as far as this go. We're not happy to be in the position that we are, but we're also not out of the playoffs. Our division right now is getting killed, and been in most of the games we've lost, and we've actually put together some pretty solid performances in our wins. I think we got 4 more games to play. Anything can happen. The way things will shake out in our division, who knows? When you get to this point, the pressure's off. You just got to grind through it and do the best you can. Have some fun with it, learn some things, and go into the next season.
Before we move forward, 49.99 super chat. DJ Kilgannon with
the rock
with the super. Thank you, DJ. And hey, exactly. Lexington minor. He's a rookie. He's yet to be drafted in the league, and he's really making an impact here tonight on Impact Mondays. You like to say, Paul? $5 super chat from DJ Woods. Hey, from one DJ to another, let me hold your money real quick. So we appreciate you guys both in the chat, as long as Skippy as well, and any of our super chatters all evening long during the show. Before we get to Ramos's interview with Ashley, I wanted to touch on something that Duane said. First off, nobody deserves a win more than Motor City over these last years. The most underrated part about their team is the culture. I'm sure you feel the same way, Paul, about Seattle and your locker room and your culture, right?
Absolutely.
There are some great cultures around the league, even if they're not transpiring in wins all the time. And I don't think there's a team out there ready for the transition to the new game more than Motor City. They are done with this era. They want to move on and start winning some ball games.
Yeah, I know a bunch of great people in Motor City. So as far as I'm familiar with our locker room, not a whole lot of wins in our win category, but you got to just keep that morale. You got to keep the team morale up. And despite the tough times, the future is bright for a lot of these teams. And with the new game on the horizon, I think that it is going to open a lot of doors for a lot of these teams to maybe take that next step within the league.
Also, an interesting thing that Duane talked about was their 3-season plan. Ramos has a 1-season plan, it seems like. It doesn't matter. I thought there for a second Mexico City was going to have a rebuilding year without Matt Wilson and Mike Daggs, but they have figured some things out. I don't know how he does it. Let's see what he had to say with Ashley.
All right. Welcome back to PGI, where I am joined with Mr. Ramos Lynn. He is the owner and coach of Mexico City Aztecs. They just got their 6th win, 5th in a row from the Motor City V8s today. How are you doing?
I'm great. Just very happy with the the success that we were having over the last several weeks, and another complete team win.
Indeed. So how has Jordan's sight grown under your leadership?
He's been incredible. During this game, he completed like the first 21 passes of the game, something like that. And he is doing a great job on being careful with the ball and just being a great leader. And the whole team rallies around him.
Indeed. Do you think some of the keys to Mexico City's success is your third down conversion rate, as well as your time of possession? For instance, in this game, you held the ball for almost 25 minutes, which is a lot of time.
Yeah, definitely. You want to dictate the pace of the game, and you want to basically just the whole game rallies around what you do, right? Instead of being on the back foot and just being reactive to what the other team does, you want to really dictate the pace of the game, convert on those third downs, keep the chains moving, and do some 12, 14 play drives, ending up with points. And obviously that's incredible when the defense then gets a 3 and out, for example. That really gives you a whole lot of momentum.
Indeed. All right, one more question for you, Ramos. Your next opponent is the Fort Worth Toros. It's going to be a really tough matchup between you guys. What do you think will be some of the things that you will be focused on?
Fort Worth's a very complete football team. I think we have to do pretty much about the same that we were doing, with some differences, of course. You cannot be just repetitive every single game. But I think we have the formula for success, not only for that game, but for football in general, which is put pressure on the quarterback, keep the giveaways to a minimum, and also force some takeaways. So, you know, I think we've been doing a really good job at those things. And when you can do all those things well, you can pretty much win any ball game.
Indeed. Well, Coach, fantastic work on a fantastic team. Looking forward to seeing what you guys do the rest of the season.
Thank you, Ashley.
You're very welcome. Cam, Folly, back to you.
Back to us for the highlight blitz. Road Warriors, full of road teams, as Paul mentioned at the top of the show, getting it done this weekend. Late in the first half, Baltimore's in Denver, and really the Nightwings had held their own, but Baltimore started to get it cooking late in the first half. Paul, that's just what they do.
And Baltimore's riding the T. Roy Gaines train early in the game with the early T. Roy Gaines touchdown.
Irvin, another walk-in. They get 2 touchdowns, 14 points, which is more points than these teams had scored combined just in the last couple of minutes of the half. Denver didn't give it up. Late third quarter, get a touchdown from Gene Struthers to Logan Keel, makes it 24-10, and the crowd is loving that. Just a 2-score game. Still same score, 3:51 to go in the fourth, but Struthers has a 4th and 10, and Stacking Paper doesn't let that one get over his head this time. Knocks it away, turnover on downs. Baltimore would capitalize and put this thing away. 3rd down and 3 at the 10. Denver hoping for a turnover, fumble, something, but it's Gaines again, getting the ball down to the 2-yard line. Baltimore would be able to tick off a bunch of time off the clock, and a 1st and goal at the 2 would seal it, preserve that cover. 31-10, Baltimore cruises over Denver. Louisiana at Seattle. Lyric Da Vinci. What a diving score. Going to see a lot of incredible catches in this one, but this is just sick from Lyric.
Yeah, an incredible catch. Watching it live, I was not a fan of that catch, but as a football fan, you got to be a fan of that catch. Just a truly great catch by Lyric Da Vinci there.
Just before the end of the first half, Liam Hammer open in the back of the end zone. That was his first catch of the game. Makes it 14-0 Revolution. Next series for Tommy Utah would be more of the same. Kind of like Baltimore. Just before the half, back-to-back touchdowns. Hammer, one-handed grab, and he's gone. 3 catches in this game. 2 go for 6. 21-0 Louisiana right before the half.
And another incredible catch there as we see Liam Hammer just burn the secondary, throw one hand out, make a catch, and nothing but grass in front of him. And just 3rd catch of the game up to this point. Just a great job and great catch there from Hammer.
To Seattle's credit, they did not give up. That's a touchdown to Zach Patton in the end zone. Makes it 21-7. Now 24-7 in the 4th. Trellis Blanton finds David Gears in the back of the end zone. 24-14. So here come the nemesis. But their comeback hopes would be taken away shortly. But first, Cameron Collier is going to lose 4 yards to push Otis Boudreau back for a 51-yard field goal attempt, which would prove to be difficult in Darkwood Stadium. I don't know what if you turned on some fans or what, Paul, but Otis misses that field goal wide left and a little short. That gives Seattle new life. Back to that comeback being thwarted I was mentioning. Trellis Blanton to, nope, Rolliman Hood, one-handed, get out of here. Louisiana has something on those gloves, Paul, because they were just grabbing incredible catches all night long. That sealed it.
And I'll tell you what, if you take a look here at that receiver that was a little deep, that ball was thrown a little bit further, I believe it was Patton, he would have been gone, and it would have been a 3-point game at that point, with Seattle having a chance to win the game. But a great job from Louisiana last week. Didn't have the best performance, but they truly came out and performed to the best of their abilities against the Seattle Nemesis this weekend.
Better than 0, like they always say. Louisiana 5-3. DC at Charleston. Shabazz Synergy to Lauren Percoco in the first quarter. She has been a red zone menace for opponents. Dragons go up 7-0. Charleston strikes right back. A 1-yard touchdown to Saren Storm. The extra point was blocked. So 7-6, or now 7-7 actually. I'm getting my games mixed up. Synergy in the back of the end zone, intercepted there by John Stamengo. This is how Charleston stayed in the game against Baltimore. We're nearly to the half, and they're all tied up with the Dragons. Charleston on a 6-game losing streak in need of a win, but Kentez Johnson gives it right back. John DeSantis with the interception. That would not be the last time we see him in this football game. Kevin Say, 1-yard touchdown makes it 13-10, 14-10, now 14-13 late in the game. And look, it's John DeSantis again making the play for the DC Dragons, and Charleston comes up just short in another game. They're 1-7. DC is 3-5. Tulsa at Portland, wild game in the back of the end zone, off of Leo Morris's helmet, and Derek Majors makes an interception with Portland up 7-0 late in the second quarter.
Definitely a major interception there. You're up 7, you steal the ball away from Tulsa, who's trying to score and come back. Just a great play there, great interception to help your team get the ball back.
Just before the first half, kind of the theme of the weekend. Cyrus Jive down the field, caught. That is Nelson Lozano Jr. into Tulsa territory. So Portland's starting to get things moving right before the half. Ezekiel Love gets a clear-out block on the left side, breaks a tackle. He's out of here. 14-0, all fleet all the time in the first half.
Show that man some love. Ezekiel Love, we've seen it all season long. One of the bell cow workhorses of the SFL, just taking it to the house for Portland there.
Nelson Lozano Jr., that block was disgusting. Fourth quarter, 17-6 Portland. Tulsa starting to bow up, and they get an interception from Cameron Shaw at the 41-yard line. Next possession, it's Q to Gabriel Manning for the score. More from him later. 17-13. Portland decides to take these too early. They give the football back to Tulsa with 21 seconds to go, and I think you might want to double this guy. Gabriel Manning down the sideline. No one's going to catch him, and Tulsa is going to take their first lead of the game.
And what a time to take the lead with 10 seconds left to help your team win the game like that, to just put all faith into your receiver Gabriel Manning. Just an incredible pass, and as we're going to see again, to be able to find your receiver like that in that time frame with the game on the line is just an incredible play where big-time players stepped up to make a big-time play.
Portland with an opportunity to take over the Pacific Division lead with a win. Tulsa chasing Minnesota at the top of the division, and it's the Desperados who end up on top of this one, but Portland will get one last chance. More craziness in this ball game. Jive goes down the field, hits a sliding Israel Adams, caught, looked like it may have been a late hit penalty, but the penalty was actually called for illegal touching because Israel Adams ran his route out of bounds, and Tulsa ends up getting the win 20-17 in, well, you'd call it controversial fashion. They improved to 6-2, and Portland drops a heartbreaker to 3-5. Don't sleep on LA. The Lycans have won 2 in a row, 2-6, 33-7. They bludgeon the Kings. But Paul, LA is just 2 games back with Vancouver's loss, with Portland's loss, with Seattle's loss in the Pacific Division. They are 2 games back of first place, and they will play Vancouver. No, it was not flexed out, Paul. Next Monday on Impact Monday. And if they win that game, the Pacific might just dissolve into chaos.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting finish to the season in the Pacific Division. Vancouver not able to get it done to increase the lead. LA being the only team this weekend from the Pacific to get a victory. We might be in for a real treat in the Pacific Division by the end of the season.
Jacksonville, like Motor City, it might be a time to start thinking about next season. All right, here's your updated standings after Week 9 outside of the Fort Worth and London Monday game. You've got, actually, those are not the updated standings. Let's get those up there for the people. I hate when that
Got
happens.
Arizona at the top now.
That's right. We have Arizona at the top now of the standings. There they are, and there's Alex Constantine putting work on somebody. Arizona and Atlanta at the top, but Arizona's got the SOV tiebreaker. Baltimore leads Vegas because they're a division leader. Minnesota just slightly on top of Mexico City now as their SOV surges with their win over Atlanta. Tulsa right behind them in the 7th spot. Then it's Fort Worth, technically 2 back in the win column. Based on win percentage, they are in the 8th spot right now. Louisiana surges to 9th with their victory, and they have the head-to-head over Indianapolis from earlier this season. And then Vancouver tops London, but you've got 2 division winners at 500, or division leaders, I should say, at 500, occupying those last spots. Paul, we go back to Minnesota at the beginning of the broadcast, where we talked about it might be a little bit different for them. That 5-6 spot looking pretty good. You may play a weak division winner in that wild card round. That could be the difference for Minnesota getting a playoff win this season, although they are still chasing a first-round bye. That means that San Diego, despite a 5-3 record, is on the outside looking in. Their resume, Paul, is just not up to par, and they're going to have to get some quality wins from somewhere, but loss to Arizona this week did not help. They have Baltimore next week, so that's their next opportunity. Carolina, Sioux Falls, Alamo City, just on the outside looking in. What stands out to you about where we are after week 9?
Oh, there's a lot. As you just mentioned, San Diego 5-3, still on the outside looking in. Just need to finish the season strong, which that sure is going to be hard to do with games against Baltimore. You still have to play Vegas. So San Diego definitely has a little tougher path to the postseason. But as far as these top teams, how do you decide who is the best team, short of going into the playoffs and seeing it all play out? Just so many great teams within the SFL. And as far as season 20 goes, I think season 20 is totally up for grabs by any of these teams on this graphic here. And we're going to see here in about a month or so who's going to be crowned season 20 champions.
Tell you what, it's a pretty top-heavy bracket this season, but with that being said, I see 7, 8, 9 teams that are championship contenders right now. Even Indianapolis, Paul, at the 9 spot, they have the best passing offense in the league. They are going to be a force to be reckoned with. Anytime you're leading in any major statistical category, you got to watch out for them. All right, that concludes this week in the SFL, presented by APM Music. Thanks to our next level audience for watching. Stay tuned for more SFL coverage on NLSE and the Saturday showcase game next week between Mexico City and Fort Worth. For the SFL YouTube audience, getting ready for Impact Monday, Fort Worth and London. That preview and your kickoff comes your way next. We'll be right back.